John.
I have an interesting obsession with time, whether that's time travel in a conspiratorial way or time travel just with your consciousness, what it's like to remember something. What does that mean? And precognitive dreams and stuff like this. And just in general, what did you take away from The Power Now? If you remember your biggest takeaway from that book.
Yeah, I was the same with you. It's like The Power Now and the other book, Letting Go by David Hawkins. Like the whole book is like in the title, just let go. It's like, what else are you going to write about here?
Yeah.
But that constant reaffirming of the power of this present moment, and how also observing and noticing that the mind really does not want to spend a lot of time here. It really wants to spend time here in the future and here in the past. And it doesn't have a lot of interest in this moment, which means that the mind is actually hijacking and distracting, and to some respects, destroying many lives. And it has absolutely scant regard for your wellness. What it's interested in is hypothesizing, projecting, remembering, forecasting. And so it constantly plays in future and past and leads to a huge distortion in our state of well-being. So we've really got to master the mind. This is one thing that I took away from 𝗪𝗪𝗡. One thing I was a little bit, what's the right word, without being critical, I didn't feel that it really showed us the technique to stay in the now. Talked a lot about the now, but I'm like, dude, tell us how. And look, I knew what I took away from that, which I really liked, was that it was validating a lot of the practice that I was using, because the practice that I was using by default was leading me to the now. So the way I teach my students now is that being in the now isn't the process. Being in the now is the byproduct of having a meditation practice that you consistently use on a daily basis. Being in the now as a process is extremely arduous and extremely challenging because the mind doesn't want to be in the now. So if you have a meditation practice, by default, you'll end up being more in the now and being more aware of the senses which are experiencing the now, and the mind is just a lot quieter.
Yeah. And one of the coolest things for me about finally cementing my sitting meditative practice was how when you first start, you are basically in a world of whatever it is, anxiety, this, that, unawareness. And when you sit down to meditate, it is potentially the only pocket of time that you have to do this. And you immediately want to rush to get back to your fix, whatever it is, the thought that's bothering you or the phone or whatever it is. What I noticed that was very cool and really helped me to understand, essentially the power of now, was when the meditative sitting practice started bleeding into my life. When pockets of, where are you going with that thought? Like, why are you so, off balance here? Come bring it back to center, follow your breath, stay here in this moment. When it started to happen without me, calling it forward, I started to realize, I see what's happening, right? It's becoming that stream, like you said, it's becoming that continual moment. And when that becomes your then continual state, you can only imagine, obviously. I mean, God only knows what some of these guys, and I don't believe you have to go off to the mountains, and go to the Himalayas just to become this. But on another, just from an athletic standpoint, it fascinates me to think, well, what would it be like, if we all had to take time or take turns and go away for 2 years to 5 years and really do, what would you come back with? How would that change, all the nonsense that you're worried about on a day-to-day basis, and how would you attack those problems? And, what is their what's the normal consciousness not like for someone who's been around or meditating for 15, 20 years? I wonder if your students, do they believe that they can, with all the modern stuff, and you've got the app and stuff, and do they really believe that they can change their lives with, a few minutes of meditation? Do they get it? Or does it take a while for, this stuff to set in?
Yeah, it's a really good question, isn't it? And trying to find that sweet spot balance of enough stillness and retreating and reclusing on a daily basis, whilst we still have families and work and finances to deal with. Or how much do we need to just sort of head away? So in about 3 weeks' time, I've got a retreat in Bali where we take people away for 7 days, and it's a deep immersion where, again, it's one of those processes. Let's take them away from their phones and away from their distractions and put them into deep immersion. And yeah, it's a really powerful experience. But we do tend to find, even just so what we recommend with my students is 20 minutes morning and 20 minutes afternoon. Now, for a lot of people, even myself, when the teacher suggested that, I was kind of, you've got to be kidding me. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to fit that into my day. But when we break our day down and we have 72 20-minute pieces of pie, that's 24 hours with 3 portions of 20 minutes in each hour. So it gives us 72 20-minute little segments. And if you think about what we're doing with those segments, everyone on the planet is doing the same thing. We're all trying to extract and commoditize fulfillment out of each action, out of each moment. And so we're trying to get fulfilled, yet if we look at the planet and we ask ourselves, hey, we've got Uber Eats, we've got, alcohol being delivered to your door, you got, Spotify and Netflix, you got, you can pretty much access fulfillment as much as you want. You can order clothes online and you should be able to be pretty darn happy right now because you can get pretty much fulfillment on tap. Yet what we have is a society that's riddled with bad health and riddled with unhappiness. And so we know that commoditization extraction model of fulfillment, outcome-oriented happiness, is just not sustainable. And in fact, the greater happiness we can extract out of the world, the polarity of the pain point that comes with that gets increased as well. So what we all want to do is cultivate an internal arising of fulfillment from within. We call this self-referred fulfillment. And so when we have cultivated internal fulfillment, this is happiness without a why. That's the question why. And then what happens is we get fulfilled in our own right without the need of any outcome or acquisition. And so with that kind of little spiel, I suggested them, look at your 72 20-minute pieces of pie. Look at where you're allocating your time. Ask yourself, how's that working out for you? And if I could say to you, if you take 2 pieces of pie and put 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon and make them unconditional to sitting in meditation, I can pretty much assure you that within just a short period of time, weeks and months, you'll be noticing an internal arising of fulfillment within. I get a lot of students message me, go, I don't know what it is today, but I just feel happy.